Recording is in progress.
Okay. All right, we'll call this order of the Albemarle County Board of Equalization to order June 12th, 2026. Let's start with a roll call.
Frank Friedman here. David Mitchell here.
David Norford here.
Jim Knockton here.
And let's, for the record, note that Mr. Naughton is here remotely. Evan Mayo not here today.
Correct. And that you have a quorum with 3 people.
We do have a quorum.
Person.
All right. We need to approve the minutes from the May 29th meeting. Has anybody had a chance to look at them?
Move approval.
All right, did you move for approval?
Yeah.
I'll second that. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, minutes from the May 29th meeting are approved. First hearing is application number 83, 1150 Hartlow Lane, Tristan and Catherine Fessel. Did I say that correctly? All right, before we get started, everybody who's going to testify, we need to swear you in. Do you promise that the testimony you're about to give is the truth?
We'll do.
All right, so you'll have 10 minutes to present your case, then the assessor will get a 7-minute period, and you'll have 3 minutes to rebut that.
Fair. Time starts now.
So you can go.
All right, cool. Name's Tristan Fessel, as already stated. My wife and I own a home at 1150 Hartlow Court, which is on the northern side of Charlottesville. We've been there since 2018. Why I'm here today is because the assessed value at 596, I do not believe aligns well or uniformly with the market value in our neighborhood due to some list data points in terms of garage, storage space, unfinished, no existing basement. And we believe that 545 is the $545,000 is a fair market value based on the comparables that I have pulled together today. The 2 overlap with the assessor's packet as well, but I believe we're looking at slightly different focuses and emphasis. So we'll go through that in the next few minutes. What I believe the assessor's argument mostly focuses in on is the premium based strictly on the definition of GLA, so gross living area. Excuse me, I'm not a real estate developer or expert, so I might butcher some terminology here, so just keep that in mind. But yet, that GLA at 2,404 square feet at my home is, and I acknowledge it, larger than the comparables that we're going to be looking at today. But I would argue that that strict focus on GLA is unfair to what an actual home buyer in this neighborhood would look for, which is going to be basements, garages, unfinished space, screened-in porches. Many of the homes and also the comparables we're going to look for today have those features. My home does not. Also renovations, near to end life, roof, and HVAC, all those things. So when taking that all into account, that my home should be aligned to that 545. But no, don't take my word for it. I'll just go through the numbers with you guys in a second. So within the comparables we're going to be looking at today, the ceiling is $589,000. My home is above that by about $8,000 based on the assessed 2026 figures. And so the question as to why am I that high, I already spoke to, is that GLA, I believe, and perhaps style, which might be subjective, but I know the world technicalities that I can't speak to here. But as far as for what I see from the market data and what my neighbors went with, it's between 495,000 and 559,000. And if you're following along with what I've provided, that's just basically the summary I got through. Going into the next section, which is a table that I'll invite you all to look at, I provide on the first page. You'll see that I have 3 comparables. These were 3 verified sales that took place in my immediate neighborhood as well in the Raintree tract. I focused on these 3 because I thought that they not only showed similar value and features as to my home, but also that they had additional features that, while they're present, such as finished basements, garages, etc., that they still demanded a lower value than my own assessed value at this time. So looking at the first comparable at 1778 Hartlow Lane, this home is across the street from my own. so I get to look at. We're at it. They sold for $559K in May of 2025. It has 2184 GLA, so about 200-ish less square feet than my own GLA. However, it comes with 612 square feet of finished basement space. Along with that, if you total that up, it's about near to 2,800 square feet, so larger finished footprint than my own home. And also it has an unfinished space of 480 square feet, which brings its own utility and value to a home buyer. Unlike my own home, which I lost my 2-car garage due to renovation, which did add on GLA. This home does have a 2-car garage. It has been recently renovated. It's already plank siding, has that finished basement, which was mentioned, screen and porch, and additional half bath. That sold for, again, $559, and that's $36,000 less than the assessed value of my own home, which is again across the street and a smaller home with aging systems. The second comparable, which is 1754 Hearthglow, that's another 2 doors down from 1778, so another neighbor of mine. They sold for $495. That brought them 2,023 square feet in GLA. It doesn't have a finished basement, but it does have a very large unfinished basement, which brings, like, if you were to look at it from a total usable space and utility, that would bring it to about 3,008 square feet, excuse me. And has a 2-car garage, screen and porch, and an additional half bath. It also backs up just like 1778 to a common area with no long-term build plans, which comes with its own value to a home buyer to know that you're backing up to basically a forested lot. That sold in May 2025, again for $495, for $101,000 less than my assessed value currently. And that 400 square foot difference in GLA, I do not believe comes with a premium of $100,000. So that to me looks like it would underline my point of uniformity issues, if I'm using that terminology correctly. 1216 Rain Tree is my third comparable that I like to call out. Also, I believe assessors have those too as well. Just to mention, but $540,000 is what it sold for, and that was back in September 2025. It has 2250 square feet in GLA, so very close to my own home, the subject that we're talking about today, of 2,400. But it also has a finished basement of 400 square feet, and it comes to roughly about 2678 square feet of finished space, which a home buyer would look at, not just GLA. It also has 700 square feet in terms of unfinished space that comes along with it. And it comes with a number of premium features that I want to mention, which are 2-car garage, newer build, a little newer, but it's been fully renovated. So that's something to mention. So it's modern, finished basement, additional 2 full bathrooms, and an oversized garage. That garage has 700 square feet. So just to wrap that all up, based on those 3 focused comparisons, you can see that while my property does have a higher GLA value in terms of square footage by about 150 square feet, 200, the premium features such as having a garage, having a basement, and having screened porches, etc., still led to lower sale value of $56,000 difference. So my home still is much higher by $56,000 in comparison to, say, comp 3. And looking at the neighborhood ceiling, just being hyper local here, if you look at the Fieldbrook Hearthglow Lane, I pointed out, $101,000 difference in one comp 2, and then the comp 1 that sets that ceiling of $559,800, and my house still is above that by $36,000. And then something I wanted to note is that the GIS information the county is holding and has, I provided Exhibit A photos of the garages as well as the improvement charts. There's no mention of garages whatsoever on there. If that is something that's sought after, and that superior functionality, with that superior functionality, all sold well below that 596 valuation. So a couple of things, if I still have a couple minutes, I think I do. I'll just mention that last year, what led to the jump in value and the assessor stopping by was to take a look at the renovation that took place last year. I want to make sure it's noted that this was an internal conversion, did not add on any concrete expansion of the foundation. It was internal conversion of my garage into a playroom and office and hallway and a small closet. That was added last year in August. And that does remove the utility of a garage. If you have a car, especially in this heat or the snow, you'll know that's something that buyers would like. Also, something else to mention is that there was deferred maintenance. The county assessor team did adjust this most of the way, but didn't get all the way. So we have about $37,000 in terms of deferred maintenance. That means roof, gutters, skylights, and also HVAC are nearing the end of their lives. I have the estimates from that. So when I was doing the renovation back last year, I had the skylight placed in as part of the renovation. They said you need to replace the whole thing. So I'm just giving you the evidence in Exhibit B of those estimates that were provided to me, which leaves about $12,000 in terms of shortfall for those physical replacement costs. So not only comparison and ignoring the deferred maintenance, my home value should be lower. Also, there's deferred costs that would not be understood by the buyer until it got closer to offer, which would further discount the value of my own home. On basically a wrap up, I'd like to say is that if we're to focus on above grade GLA in sole like focus, yes, my home has higher GLA, and yes, it would be higher assessed. But when you look at the other features that the homes in my neighborhood have, which are superior in terms of larger footprint and finished square footage, as well as unfinished screen-in porches, garages that are attached. These are expectations in our neighborhood and tracked. And also with the significant deferred maintenance that I have, these, in comparison to these renovated homes that we're looking at today, my home should fall closer to that valuation of $545,000. I hope that made sense. And that's it for me.
Okay, the assessor, you give us their,
So when my appraiser, Patricia did the inspection earlier this year for the review, we made sure that all of the data for this property was up to date. So it's properly described. It's a 1.5 story. The grade is B-1, which is correct. And as Ms. Russell said, there's no basement. The fact that there is no longer a garage because it was converted to the living area, the value is added for the living area, but there's no value added for the garage. So on the comparables that have garages, the value is added for a garage. So we show the difference that way in the assessments for the different properties. I think I finally understand where Mr. Fessel states in the beginning of his Reddit that the ceiling for the neighborhood, so I get it right. Market ceiling for the Rain Tree tract is 589. I believe he's saying that the highest sale in 2025 was 589. So the properties can't be worth more than that. I believe that's what he's saying, but that's not true because this is just a snapshot of the properties that sold in 2025. There are superior properties that are larger properties in Rain Tree that are worth a lot more than 589. So that doesn't set any kind of ceiling. Really what this sales study is showing is that based on the description of all the comparable properties and the subject, the ratios from their sale prices are an appropriate range. And that the median is at close to 100%. It's in this case 0.9916. And so the neighborhood is assessed appropriately, as something says. Doesn't mean that there aren't properties that are above or below those sale prices. Also, and we've had a lot of conversations in meetings about basement versus above grade. The basement finished area is just not as valuable as above grade. So I think people do get value out of their basements when they're finished. It's just not, they don't pay as much for that area as they do for above grade finish. So we treat them separately. We value them. We give them both value. We just don't give the basement finished area the same amount of value as above grade. So if you have a 3,000 square foot above grade and a 2,000 above grade and 1,000 finished in the basement, those are not the same. And the market says they're not the same. And we have a lot of market information that kind of shows that. So I believe that we have all of the issues that Mr. Fessel's raised. I think we are adjusting for all of those in the assessment.
I have two questions. The first is just clerical, I guess. In the assessor's package under owner comps, they're not the same as the comps from the.
That is correct. Okay, if you're
Some of them are the same, some of them are not.
Okay, in the assessor provided comparables.
No,
No,
owner provided comps that are in the assessor's pack.
Oh, the owner, oh, yes,
We have
Okay.
1216 Rain Tree, 1778 Hartwell, and 1600 Old Brook, but
that is correct.
he's got 1778, 1754.
Yes, Mr. Fessel gave us an updated packet, I think yesterday.
Okay,
2 days ago, yeah.
2 days. ago.
okay.
So we updated the packet. I had sent it to you guys through the email, through email to, so you would see it. We didn't actually
Okay, all right.
update
That answers
our
that.
write-up since then.
That answers
I
that
think
question.
that's-
Second question, can you address maybe one thing we might be missing here is the difference between a two-story and a 1 or 1.5 story?
Yes, so we've also talked a lot about how the first floor area is generally more valuable than the second, but a 1-story house is a higher rate per square foot than a 2-story house because of the second floor area. So there's 1.5 is just halfway in between those two. So the rate is a little higher it's in between a 1-story and a 2-story for a 1.5 story. So because you don't have as much second floor area in comparison to first floor. So
So that would have a bearing on the difference in the base rate?
it would, yes. It would have a higher base rate for a 1.5 compared to a 2-story. And that's one of the differences between these comparables, the comparables that are provided by the owner. All 3 of those are 2-stories, so they would automatically be a lower base rate and therefore a lower value. And ultimately, and we don't dictate what people pay for their houses. We're just reflecting our model based on what they pay for their houses. And the market shows that a 2-story sells for less per square foot.
It looks like it's around $10 to $15 a square foot.
It's somewhere around there. Yes, exactly.
Any other questions for the assessor?
Yeah, is it true that all of the comparables have a garage and this property does not?
I believe that is true. Yes. Because the subject property did have a garage, he just finished it.
So how is that reflected in the assessment? I understand, well, no, I don't understand. Where is it reflected in the assessment of the comparables? And how is it reflected in the assessment of the subject property? The fact that they don't have a garage, which would be a feature that would be very attractive to a buyer.
Yes, and so the way we value it is we would add, so to answer the first question, the way it shows up in the comparables is in the sub area totals in the grid. So it's in those numbers. So
So-
comp 1, it's 84,000. That's part of that is garage, part of it is decks and screen porches, any items like that. But that's where that number will.
So that increases the assessment of the comparables.
Correct.
Does
And-
it lower the assessment of the subject?
No, there's not a negative on the subject for not having a garage. There's just nothing added for not having. Not it's because he doesn't have a garage, we don't add value for a garage.
On your comp 4
Mhm.
has a sub area total of $52,000.
That's correct.
Can you tell me how much of that is a 2-car garage?
Yes.
I'm assuming this one has 600 square feet ish.
10694. Sorry, I have to do a little math. Garage, 11,440. 5 times 1.4. Do that right, $15,000.
And what's the sub area on this home 42,000? What is that for? He's gonna have a garage.
On the subject property,
The subject
Yeah,
property,
subject.
yeah.
he's got a shop. We go back to that one. I was just looking at. misstated. 14562. It's got a shop and some unfinished living area and a patio. It really is the sub area doesn't include does it include the bathrooms,
It includes everything in there. It's a total
everything that's in that little
in
section.
the classroom, yes.
Okay. So it includes all of these items up here, bathrooms, fireplaces, cooling, roofing, and then the specific items here.
Any other questions for the assessor?
I'm still trying to understand, you know, when you compare the 1.5 story and the 2 story, the market has shown different values of
Mhm.
those. And that is reflected in the base rate.
Correct.
Is there similar data on garage versus no garage? And how that would affect a base rate? I mean, it seems like that should have some effect because it's an important feature for buyers, just like the 1.5 story versus 2 story is an important feature.
Yes, so we don't subtract from a property for not having a garage. If that's what you're asking. We add when it has it. We add value for the ones that have them, but we don't subtract for the ones who don't.
Can I ask you a quick question? So on average, how much are you adding? So for the one example for comp 4, you're adding $15,000. Is that sort of typical what you add for having a 2-car garage?
It depends on the grade of the home, but that's typical for a B-1 home.
15,000 for a 2-car garage.
Let me make sure that is a 2-car garage. I'm assuming it is, but it's 10694. That's not it. Now, this is a 1-car. This is actually just this is a 1-car garage. It's 13 by
And some of
22.
the comparables are basement, 2-car basement garages, some of the comparables.
Oh,
are
okay.
Basements.
Okay. Basement garages, we treat a little differently. We had value in the basement for space for garage, basically.
Do these comps have a basement garage or regular garage?
I don't
Comp
know
2,
off the top of my head.
I can tell you, comp 2 has a basement garage. Assessors.
So that value is added in the sub area and because it's a garage, something is added as opposed to just a plain basement.
Right. Instead of an unfinished basement, it's added value for being.
So when you evaluate sales,
Mhm.
get the sale price. Before you start dividing by the square footage and the finish and all that, you take out the value of the garage and these sub areas to get so that you can compare
What's left over.
to your base rate.
We don't necessarily do it like that. We set the values added for stuff like garages and decks and porches and stuff. And then we set the base rates, and then we allow the sales study to show if our overall values are in the right place.
So you look at your comps that are sold. You assign values to various elements of it.
Correct.
The garage, the porch,
Right.
whatever, the sub areas.
Right.
And then you compare. Then you compare those sales to. Or you compare your assessments to those sales to
Correct.
say that you're in that range, that you're within margin of error.
Correct. And
And if you're not, you would adjust either the base rate or sub area values.
correct.
to get yourself to. And then you would take those new base rates and sub areas that have been indicated by the sales and apply them across the board to everybody,
Yes,
your new data points. that you-
yeah, those are
that
the
you
new
draw
table
from. The new
values.
table values.
Yes, correct.
Okay.
Now, we don't, when we do the sales studies, which was similar to what you see at the beginning of our, basically page 2, that's a sales study of our write-up. When we do those sales studies, we can break down all the sales in the county by grade, by 1-story versus 2-story, all of those. What we don't do is break it down by what properties have houses for, I'm sorry, what properties have garages or don't have garages. That's not really a breakdown that we've ever looked at.
But it's in your evaluation.
But it is in the evaluation. It is, yeah.
I understand that there's a point where you get. Your data gets so broken down, it's not relevant.
Right, and in those sub areas, all of those items, we do a study of how much that adds. And typically that's based by cost, at least as to start with. So we come up with those. Sometimes the cost isn't necessarily appropriate because it's more of a how much would somebody pay for that if it's in the home, but the cost is kind of our basis. And we went through a huge review of all of our sub areas this year for 2026 to make sure we were up to date with those values. And I thought 15 was pretty low too, so I'm happy to see that was a 1-car garage. But
What about the deferred maintenance? How does that factor in?
okay, we're off of garages now, right? Just
Yeah.
overall, so deferred, so
And
it comes into condition.
okay, come back.
Yes.
13%.
And we have his property in average plus condition. So it's had some work done to it, but it has some challenges also. So it would normally be in good condition, but it's average plus. And Patricia can speak to condition, what she saw as it relates to how we do condition.
So it's 13% that it looks like the subject property has for aging. That's applied to the number that's arrived at after base rate and subtotal sub areas are all put together.
Everything's put together,
And
correct?
then you deduct.
Correct.
Right.
So it depreciates everything off of that total.
So just one more comment on the garage. If I'm doing some quick calculations, by converting the garage to livable space, it looks like that increased the value of the home by in the neighborhood of just roughly $30,000 or $40,000.
Correct. Yeah, I don't know exactly how much it was. It sounds right. That's exactly what would happen.
Well, if it's 300 square feet, $200 a square foot, that's 60,000, and the garage was 15, so the difference is 45.
Was your garage a 2-story or a 1-car or 2-car before you go?
It's a 2-car.
It was a 2-car.
Oh.
It's the subject for this 1-car.
Oh,
Yeah,
it's 2-car.
Right. So now this was just the
We
garage
converted it.
conversion.
It was the total conversion. You also had some attic area above the garage that converted it to living space.
Oh, okay.
What
So
was say that again?
so when she picked up the conversion of the garage, the total value added was 61,400. And it included both the garage area and some space above the garage that was finished.
That previously was,
That was unfinished.
And
is that right?
Yes, sir.
Any other questions for the assessor?
No.
You have rebuttal?
Sure. So as we went through all that, just listening in, the home jumped up significantly in its assessed value from 2025 to 2026. The comparables I showed all, while they do have the low grade, and I do understand that come with less utility, everyone knows someone who lives in a basement at some point in their life or has put a living room in there. They all provide value to a buyer. I want to underline that all these homes have larger space than my own. They all have 2-car garages, still attached, and also they all were renovated. The average plus or average B plus, whatever it is, my own home, the last time the kitchen was renovated was in 1999. The appliances are failing at this point, and I have to use a little lighter from the stovetop. Of course, I'm gonna replace that soon. But that needs to be noted that the home is not modern like the three comparables that I have shared today. The garage space that was converted was internal conversion, and we still left one garage bay as a unfinished storage space. So one bay was made into a playroom with a closet, so better. And then the second floor made into an office, along with an HVAC closet for the aging HVAC that I mentioned earlier that needs to be swapped out. So given the comparables showing they all sold for significantly less on average, around $50,000 to $60,000 less for larger homes with more utility and updated features. I'm hoping that the board sees that from a person who's a home buyer, they would value these more, especially in this given area where on the assessor's packet, on the first page, it says that what makes the price differences is the GLA, style, basement, and garage. So basement, garage, neither are present on my slab at home. The garage is no longer there. Style perhaps, I think Cape Cods look nice, I like my house, but maybe not this much in price. And the GLA, yes, slightly larger based on strict definitions, I do not quibble with that, but I do want to pay my fair share in tax, but I want to make sure that it is just fairly assessed. And that the growth in size and the loss of utility in the garage is noted and is equalized with the rest of my neighborhood, which right now I'm the most expensive home in the neighborhood. A smaller format house.
I probably should have asked you the question at the beginning. Are we all on the same page that they have your home accurately represented as it is today, as far as living space, renovations, garage was converted and so forth? We're not arguing about that.
Well, I would argue on 2 points is that on the average plus grade, it relies on a renovated kitchen from 27 years ago. I would say that that does not equate to an average plus grade, though I do know that was not the focus of the assessor's visit. It was the swap out of my concrete floor for vinyl planking and drywall for the garage. I can see what that looks like. So I would say the renovations do not reflect.
Well, I meant more that the dimensions are correct and
Yes.
you do have a shed in the back.
Yeah, small vinyl shed.
And, I mean,
Mr. Norford, you can see up here, this is the first floor. That's where the garage was converted. That's the shop area that's unfinished. That's upstairs that was converted, and that's the unfinished living area. So that's what we have represented.
and where is what he's saying is the unfinished storage
I
area?
believe right here,
The shop top left,
or the shop.
Shop.
that's the remaining garage portion, which is,
He took a quarter of it, kept it.
yeah, I mean, the visual is not representative of what it looks like, but yeah, measurements are correct. Has a very large hall that doesn't look like that. It's not 12-foot wide hall.
I think they're just showing the perimeter, not the
Yeah.
interior layout.
Any other questions?
I do not.
You do understand the difference in value between a 2-story and a 1.5?
Yes, sir. At least in terms of valuation, but real world, my layman's mind says this house sold with larger square footage for $100,000 less or $50,000 less. With more features. That's what brought me here today. But I do understand the calculation.
I'm not sure that we have any evidence that the assessment is really wrong.
I'm gonna say. But assessment.
Frank, you have any thoughts?
No, I'm. Partner.
Anybody have a motion?
I motion to affirm the assessor's valuation.
Have a second?
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second to affirm the assessor's assessment of 1150 Hearthglow Lane, application 83, 596,700, 596,700. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Thank you.
Did you say 586, 700 or 596?
Whatever it says in,
I read it.
596,700.
Thank you all for your time.
Thank you. Wasn't anything really one way to do it.
Yeah.
Dan.
I know one of the things people don't pay for it.
Hello.
Yes, that is true.
Yeah.
Hello. Hey, how are you?
Ryan Mitchell,
Peter Lunch.
position,
You can have a seat right here.
I know,
Cause I have.
feel outnumbered.
Yeah.
Bring your grandchildren, I'm like, I don't, they're not here yet. There are some people who actually will not buy it.
I don't want.
And feds out, I'm getting, there's days when I wish I did. Sorry, I'm stuck.
All right, we ready to start? The hearing, you ready?
Yep.
Yeah.
All right, this is excuse me. You ready?
Swear, man.
I'm going to.
You told me to remind you.
Yeah, thank you. All right, so anyone that's gonna give testimony, we need to swear you in. Do you swear that the information you're about to give is the truth?
Yes.
Thank you. Application number 74, 1132 Olympia Drive, Mr. Brian Gutterman. All right, so you'll have 10 minutes to present your evidence, and then the assessor will have 7 minutes to present their evidence, and then you have a period for rebuttal.
Okay.
So you can start.
All right, yeah, so that's my house at 1132. You'll notice it's at the intersection of two very busy streets. I understood in 2022, we did pay $715 for it. That was at a very turbulent time in the market. I do feel like we bought it at the tippy top. At the time to buy it was April 2022. Right when the low interest rates were starting to significantly rise. We did pay about 80 to 90K over asking for it. It was a rather desperate time. Not something we feel great about today, but we have to live with it. I do not see support for an $886,000 valuation on this, to the extent that if any one of you were to offer that value today, we would accept, without hesitation. The recent sales of two houses on Verona, that went between 700,000 and 720, and then one on Olympia for 715. I do understand those are lower values. I do understand they're smaller square footage, but those are recent. Those do have the same, I say, location obstructions that my property faces. And there's another one close by, Montalcino, that went for around 750, 755. So you might see that as more of a comparable. However, that house is on a private street where there are kids that can easily go outside without a worry. Can't really let my daughter ride her bike around our house just because of the traffic, as much as it hurts us to say no to her. So secondly, you refer to B+1 grading. I wasn't too familiar with that term, but if we're talking about the conditions of the house, I would say the ones that have sold, the three that I mentioned, as well as the several houses mentioned in the assessor's report. I'm looking at the pictures, those were all, like the interior pictures, those are all turnkey, ready to sell houses. We are considering selling our house, not sure the price yet, but we do anticipate either way a pretty heavy investment in the interior to get the house to where we think it needs to be to sell. And I also say just the buyer behavior. Somewhat wasn't enough taken into account in the assessor's assessment. I would say the three houses that I mentioned much more reflect buyer behavior. The house will be a tough sell. There's not much backyard. The street location is less than ideal. And additionally, like the square footage appears big. But I would say the first and second floors are somewhat average size. The basement is big, but it is a large, empty, not very well designed space, so it's not exactly usable. And I wouldn't really say the value per square foot is a linear increase. You can't really just take the dollar per square foot of a smaller house and just apply it to mine. It's not like my house is a piece of deli meat that will sell by the pound. We haven't made any improvements to the house. Or any significant improvements. We don't plan to. So don't really understand we've had 10% increases the past few years that just doesn't line up with our expectations of what we'd be able to sell the house for at this time. And I also want to point out this house that was located at 1086 Olympia. This was a recent development. It was it's down the street from us. We think is more representative of what our selling experience would be. And it's on similar busy road. It has more of a backyard than ours, similar size, bedroom count. That was on the market for a little under 800,000 and was taken off the market because it didn't sell. So in short, I would look more towards the buyer seller behavior in our area, rather than the metrics from the assessor report. In that the fair market value is what somebody will pay for our house, and a value approaching 900K is just not something I would expect at this time. So I appreciate your time. Should I hit the 10 minutes, but that's what I have to say about it.
So let me ask a question before you get started, Mr. Lynch. Can you put the map up there so we can see, he's saying it's on a busy corner and so forth, just so we can get our bearings?
Yeah, so Olympia Drive, that's what intersects with Verona. That's the main entry point into our neighborhood. And then Verona Drive, cars zoom back and forth on that constantly.
You keep pulling out.
And one of those other parcels, a few houses down, that sold about a year ago.
Where's this from, Tandon?
One of the houses on Verona sold about a year ago for like in the sixes. I wouldn't say our value is that low, but it was a little bit of it was discouraging to see that sale. And yes, we've been watching this closely lately because we are thinking about selling. So.
Okay, I just wanted to get a visual on it. Okay. Go ahead.
Okay, so, we've provided the comparable properties from the neighborhood. We believe that the subject and the comparables are all, valued appropriately. I think the sales the sale prices are close to the assessments for each property, which means the model's working properly. There's differences between the subject property and the comparable, that's all taken into account in the modeling. Dana, do you have anything to add about condition, overall condition of the property?
Well, at the time that I looked at the property, that the overall condition, is appropriately expressed in our model as average. Typical depreciation. you know, significant repairs. I did mention that garage door that broken or something. And there was something up with the deck, but I was never able to find out what the deck situation was. I didn't see anything wrong with it.
Oh, it is, it's since been fixed, but it's since been fixed. I think we were planning on getting it fixed when you were there.
Okay,
Was there any adjustment based on location, on a busy corner or?
I don't believe so.
I asked the same in an email and they confirmed that.
Yeah, when I look at the assessor provided, or the owner provided comps, two are on Verona, and then one is on Olympia. And the numbers provided have the land value at 195 for all of them. So it doesn't seem like there's a difference between Olympia or Verona in terms of the land value. Am I reading that correctly?
That is correct.
Right, however, if you look at the assessor provided comps on Via Florence as well as Montecino, the land values are also the same. And I would say based off of that comp, if you have quiet streets, minimal traffic, maybe 195 is appropriate for those, but for comparison, I have a hard time saying that the land would have the same value as this.
Okay, so what you're saying is, you know, Florence is a quiet residential spot,
That's right.
and Verona is sort of the busy cut through. And you would say all the lots on Verona should be worth less than the lots on Florence because of the traffic.
As well as Olympia, yeah.
As well, yeah. Well, you're on the corner, so you're yeah,
We have the worst of both worlds.
yeah. Fair enough.
However, the sales don't show that, as if you look at the sale price to assessment on those comparables, on the owner provided comps. Comparable number one is assessed below the sale price by about 20,000. Comparable number two is about $47,000 above the sale price, and comparable number three is about $16,000 below the sale price. It's not compelling sales information that actually shows that there's a difference.
Well, I can't really speak to the models. I mean, I do see like, yeah, one was valued 50,000 under what it had to sell for. And you know, we're 1775 Verona and 1778, they're right. One's next to us, one's across the street. Our house is not $150,000 to $200,000 more valuable than those houses. I just can't buy that. If like, yeah, a model may produce it, but it's not like a buyer's gonna say like, oh, like this house is X square feet higher. That's clearly a linear increase in value. So like, I've lived in this neighborhood for the past 4 years. I've watched the sales activity closely, and yeah, I just don't see how how it's like a 1-for-1 square footage size. And if anything, this 886 value, like maybe the value I provided was a little aggressive on the low side, but close to 900,000, I just don't see it.
Can you show us on the map where Via Florence is Montesino?
Yeah, you can see Montesino right there. You can see it's a private cul-de-sac. And then if you go, yeah, and then Via Florence is right there.
Okay.
Yeah, our friends live like a little at the cul-de-sac. You can see in the bottom left of the screen where you just were. Yeah, we drive by Via Florence to get there, and yeah, cars drive slow, kids are playing in the streets. So it's a much different living experience than what we have.
I have one other question, which is on the sub areas total. I continue to have a hard time understanding how those values are determined. When I look at the subject property, the sub areas total is pretty high. It's just under $175,000. And I can see, you know, we have about 66,000 from the basement. And so it means there's about 100,000 coming from other stuff. Just wondering what all that might be.
I thought you said the basement was unfinished, but this says the basement.
No, the basement is finished. So sorry if I may have said it's unfinished, it's finished, but
Okay,
yeah, there just isn't, very simple carpet drop ceiling. If you're putting a $70,000 value on a basement. It's a little overstating it.
Basement, I have a question, but I'm typing these numbers, I might have my answer. Y'all, you're above your sub areas total, got unfinished basement value, and then you got finished basement value. It's the unfinished basement value, the overall, the square footage, whether finished or not, multiplied by some number, which I'm correct, $18 to $19 a square foot.
That is correct.
Then the finished is an additional amount added just to that finished area.
That is correct.
so the unfinished, that's for the whole basement.
Yeah. Finished or
Then
not.
you add on the 40,000 for the finished part.
That is correct.
I had a question about that too, because it's only a very small difference in the square footage, and it seemed like.
Yeah, so you're giving them $28 to $32 a square foot to finish a basement. Or 18 to 19 for just the space. Finished or not. Okay.
Yes.
Any more questions?
I have a question, is the grade B1? Is there any adjustment for the quality of the finished basement? Area? Walk out, not walk out, has a kitchen, just a room.
So if it's a walkout versus a non-walkout, it has a different rate
Okay,
in the table.
that's in the unfinished base, just the area.
That is
You would
correct.
apply that to the lower one.
That-
Then,
Correct.
then you would add, then the finished one, you'd have different rates based on how it's finished out.
Correct. And
And
we
is-
have,
is
we have basement grades also that
Okay.
will,
They
that they
vary- they
typically
vary
go
down.
along with the grade of the house.
But you might, because when you were speaking, it sounded like you were a little bit unclear about the difference between condition and grade.
Okay.
Maybe Mr. Lynch can tell us, explain that to us.
Oh, sure. The grade of the home is, which is the quality of construction, is a B+1. The condition of the home, as Dana was discussing, is average for a house built in 2004.
And so it's discounted at 15% for age and condition, is that correct?
The 15% is for age and condition, correct?
So if it was brand new, that would be 0%.
That is correct.
Yeah, question I have, if you look at the assessor provided comps, especially comp 4, 1926 via Florence Road. That comes in at a total value of about $45,000 less than the subject home. And yet it's 800 square feet larger. Can you
Yeah,
explain what's
absolutely.
causing that difference?
There's two main things, the B grade compared to the B plus grade.
Mhm.
So you've got a different multiplier there. And then the lack of a basement, so you're missing $67,000.
Right.
On comp four that is on included in the subject. So between those two, because you've got pretty much the same age, you have the same 15% depreciation, those are all the same number of bathrooms. And you have that extra square footage. So, but all of the square footage is gonna be at a slightly lower rate because of the slightly lower grade.
So the grade is really the biggest determinant of that difference.
Correct.
You have just a B. I see B1, B2, I mean, B1, B+1, B-1, and B. B is a number, right? B is a grade.
Correct.
B,
Correct.
no,
Yeah, B is just in the middle and then plus or minus goes up or down.
Can you, looking at your cheat sheet, can you explain how you came up with a B+1 instead of a B on this house?
Now, that is a Dana question.
So B+1, did find it to be a B+1 belt, based on the volume failure with the turn staircase. It's got 9-foot interior ceilings, expanded kitchen cabinetry and island. The upgraded appliances. And finishes and hardwood floors, the expanded deck and patio, and the rock accent landscape walls. I felt that those things upgraded the quality of the home.
do you agree that the house has those features?
Yes, it does. But yeah, I think the point of, yeah, the location affecting buyer behavior is still wide. They'll be very hard pressed to sell for the value that you all say it's valued at.
Anybody have any thoughts on this one?
You can still use it to because
Yeah. No, okay.
okay.
I don't know how you're going to discount it for location without discounting all that location. There's no evidence that there's difference in sale prices based on whether they're on Olympia Drive or via Florence Road.
Well, so there is a house went on the market that had a higher square footage than all of these, and it's, I think it's for less than 100,000, and it didn't sell.
We can't look at anything except for sales that occurred in 2025.
Yeah, so when that house eventually sells, if it sells low, you'll be able to come back or it'll be used by the assessor in that year.
To the 1 year look back.
Yeah.
All right. I will move to, on application 74, to affirm the assessor's appraisal. And
I'll second that. So there's a motion and a second for application number 74, 1132 Olympia Drive to affirm the assessor's number of 886,300. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed?
Motion carried.
Thank
Thank you.
Thanks.
Next year, there will be moderation or reduction. This year's. People either wait from raises or it's going to decrease a little. Most likely it'll just kind of hold steady.
Yeah, problem.
So the full board of supervisors will have to. They want more money, you can't just depend on assessments values going up, you're gonna have to raise the tax rate.
I mean,
They
basically,
get spoiled for 12 years.
basically what we're hearing over and over again is, I can't sell my house for that money.
And you know,
I mean, that's basically what we're hearing over and over.
and it takes time for people to bite the bullet and get hit. I mean, you know. Oh, 8, 9, I did that. But yeah, I'm not selling my house for a while.
Hey,
It depends
So
so
now
much on
I
the
spent on
market.
that house for a while.
Right, it depends on the market, it depends on the mortgage rates, but
You remember,
But that's what-
remember that, Lee, isn't that? Remember they were doing the seconds every year. They used to do it every 2 years. And they switched every year when it was going up real fast. And they started going down, like, we'll go back to 2 years. I'm like, no, we're good.
It's a lagging indicator, it's just what it is.
Are we ready for this one?
Yes.
All right,
Sure.
this is application number 62, Mr. Bennett, 433 Ednam Drive. Need to swear you in if you're going to offer testimony.
All right, yep,
Do you swear that the information you're about to give us is the truth?
sir.
Okay, so you'll get 10 minutes to present your case, and then the assessor's office will have 7 minutes, and then you'll have some time for rebuttal. So go ahead.
All right, thanks. Just wanted to confirm, is everybody in receipt of the briefing package, the applicant package? Yes.
Did that get changed into both?
It did,
It did,
it
okay.
did, yes.
You saw, we got it via electronic,
Okay.
and then it's been changed to before.
And yeah, just wanted to note too, I apologize. It looks like the photos came out as black and white. We submitted them in color. So if you want to look at it, I could show. Or maybe.
We might be able to pull them up,
Screen, but
some of the stuff I'm sure the computer on.
okay, well, let's get into it. So we'll start with just item 1 here, the land. So our total lot size is 3.751 acres. The county's made note repeatedly in their brief, this is one of the larger lots in Edmond Forest. We acknowledge that, we're not contesting the acreage. However, we've been trying since 2023 to get it accurately assessed in terms of the restrictions of the steep slope ordinance, and I'll go to the board here just so I can show you what I'm talking about. So the county in their brief put this map in. It doesn't have the topo lines, which is significant. I'll talk about that in a sec, but
Hold on, you turn them on.
okay, yeah, if you could, actually, if you could take away the photo and put up the topo lines, so that'd be good. Thanks for doing that. Yeah, so and you put the steep slope overlay back on. Right, okay, perfect. Yeah, so just to recap, steep slope ordinance, right? Preserved slopes can't be touched. Managed slopes that have been previously disturbed also have restrictions. You can with a waiver, but basically all of this land we can't do anything with. I'll also note that if you read the topo lines, I don't know if you have 100 foot on here, but basically if you start on a line and you cross more than 6 lines over 100 feet, that's over 25%. So there's many areas of this that don't actually accurately reflect steep slopes. Like this entire region is a steep slope. This entire region is a steep slope. And there's also a drainage easement, which I mentioned, that in the bottom of this ravine, so you can see where the topo lines point. This is a drainage. There's a stream in there, which is also protected by the stream buffer ordinance. So we're submitting that this is the only part of the site. It's about an acre. It's actually 0.8 acres, about when I drew it on the viewer. That the only part of the property that should be graded as residential, and that everything else should be subject to that discount. So that's that.
Where's your driveway on this?
Yeah, all right. So yeah, I need to just reclaim my time so we can keep going here. So the quality grading, the other issue is the quality grading. So this was originally assessed as grade A. I just want to remind the board that this is, A means exceeds building codes. And after we requested initial reassessment in 2024, after putting about $150,000 into the property, the county lowered the grading from A to A-1. So that means we bought it, it was graded A, we approved it, and they came in and looked at it and they said, well, actually, no, you're right, it's A-1, which means they had been overgrading us. Now, I understand we're only talking about 2026, but I can assure you, we plan to seek redress for the overtaxation in those previous years. Point being, the county also raised the multiplier on A-1 from 1.68 to 1.8. A is graded at 1.94. 1.8 over 1.94, 93%. So property has to be 93% of grade A in order to be A-1 now, according to the county's model. And I can show, you can see in the pictures, numerous items I've pointed out to show that there are many aspects of this property that are below grade A. That's partly why we bought it, because it was cheap and we were going to improve it. I'll go through a few other specifics. The roof, they call it dimensional. It's asphalt shingle. I'd like the multiplier to be changed to 0, equal to composite. Asphalt shingles, even quote architectural shingles, are actually cheaper these days than composite shingles. So I can't see how this roof is any more expensive than a composite roof. So, and that's in their RVM, their residential value model. So I want that knocked down to 0. It's also not consistent with the A grade. The siding, they've said multiple times it's weatherboard. It's not weatherboard. It's painted wood. Weatherboard, at least in the US, does not mean that. It doesn't mean wood siding. Wood siding, again, according to the value model, multiplier of 0. It's also in the grade guide. It's more consistent with B or C than A. So that again supports lowering the grading. Okay, so that's the roof, the siding, functional obsolescence. So the county did have 10% functional obsolescence added to the assessment for several years prior, and then it mysteriously disappeared from the property card in 2024 with no explanation. Now, I don't know if that was an error or whatnot, but it's clear that there's functional obsolescence from a house built in 1983 versus a house built with modern construction. And I'll just point to the beams as being one example. So these days you can get an engineered wood beam that enables you to have a nice big open space, right? We have a bunch of, 40-year-old metal supports throughout the house, not just in the basement, but also throughout the main floor, which inhibit our ability to open up spaces, makes renovation more complicated. It made the recent remodeling more expensive. There's old HVAC, there's windows that haven't been replaced, pictures shown right here. So we're asking the board to institute 10% functional obsolescence. Now let's talk about the basement. So the county made the point of reassessing, or finally noticing that there was a basement garage on their 5th trip up to the property in 10 years. What they failed to do was back out the square footage, right? So they just tacked that on. They didn't back out the square footage for the basement. And even though I've pointed this out to them twice, they continue to assess our basement as a walkout. It's a partial basement. It's completely underground. The door going into the garage is completely underground. There's a steep slope, basically where the garage is, that then makes it possible to actually drive out of the garage. But there is no door that leads out of the basement. So it's not a walkout. It's not a walkout legally. We can't put egress windows in. We can't put any windows in. And it's not a walkout as a realtor would describe it. Now, they have also highlighted 440 Rookwood, which they're going to talk about, I think, as being a comparable. Well, we agree that they graded both of these houses as A-1, but I encourage you to look at the photos 440 Rookwood because they have a true walkout basement. And it's much more useful than ours, right? I also will point out they only tacked that on after we told them we were going to appeal. So we didn't want to correct it, for years previously, and then all of a sudden we decided to appeal and then they corrected it. Okay, you can make of that what you will. But so I'm asking for it to be graded as partial underground, that's 11.55 per square foot average grade, and then the 1-2 car basement garage. I'm not disputing that we have a garage. And then lastly, the pool. The main issue here is that the multiplier again went up drastically, 66 square feet last year, 66 per square feet to 98.80 per square foot. Now, if construction costs for new pools go up, there are a lot of factors at work that drive that. That has to do with the labor market. It has to do with the availability of raw materials. It has to do with a lot of things. That doesn't mean that an existing pool, especially a pool built in 83, is going to go up by 50% in value the next year. That just doesn't happen. If new construction costs are going up, I guarantee you that renovation costs are going up. And we've started to get quotes on repairing the pool and ballpark to do the plastering, the tiling, the deck, and the infrastructure, you know, the pump system and everything like that. To bring it up to like new, it's probably gonna be about 40,000. So that to me suggests that it's under depreciated as well. I think it's probably worth about 20,000 right now. We put 40,000 into it, we get it back up to its previous value. It's never gonna be as valuable as a new pool. Lastly, so the county is presenting the email that we sent to them showing the percent increase in our property assessment versus our neighbors. So you can see our parcel, our taxes went up 28.7% from 2025 to 2026. All the houses adjacent to us that did not have major improvements, they went up between 11 and what is it, 23.5%. So we're the highest in that little cluster in Edmond Forest. The reason I sent this to these guys is because when I asked them, why did our property values go up so much? They said, well, that's Edmond Forest. Well, it seems like ours are going up more. So we didn't present these as comparables to our house. We presented them to show that our increase was much greater than that of our neighbors. And I think I've just explained to you why. That the multiplier for A-1 went up, even though I don't really think it's A-1, especially if 440 Brookwood is A-1, right? There are various other things that aren't even consistent with A grading as well. So it's not clear to me why we're getting dinged with that kind of an increase. And that's why we're requesting the board to make these revisions accordingly to bring our assessed value down. How much more time do I have?
I think probably
Is that it?
it's pretty close.
Yeah, all right.
All right, now we'll hear from the assessor's office.
Okay, so Lewis can speak to some of this probably better than I can, but the roof is a dimensional roof. Dimensional shingles. The siding is wood siding, which is we describe as weatherboard.
So I have a question about that. What is the definition of weatherboard? Because to me, it's wood siding, but
It's wood siding. Yes.
What do you call party plank?
Hardy plank is hardy plank. You know, it's actually named hardy plank. We have an item for
You
that.
have 9.
Yes. And functional obsolescence, Lewis, why don't you speak to functional obsolescence on this property? Because you don't have functional obsolescence just by being an older home. There has to actually be a function problem.
I believe it was the functional that was on there before. Because it was a contemporary house.
was a what?
A
Contemporary house?
contemporary design house, isn't that it?
I think so. I think, historically, because the older style contemporary homes, we had functional obsolescence on all of them.
Contemporary come through on the,
Yes, so we changed from where you have in the past,
Base rate.
we would have had a functional obsolescence for contemporary. We have it as a separate base rate for that style. So we are addressing that same reason why we had the functional on there before. We're just doing it in a different way.
So where is that
It's
notated?
base
the
rates on the owners provided.
it's included in the base rate.
Thought it was 279, and we got other contemporaries that are 296, 249, 207.
Right, so the table itself that's used for a regular 1.5 story, this is a 1.5 story, is 142.50 base rate. For a contemporary 1.5 story, it's 126. So we're taking off, what is that, 1650 per square foot for that style, which is what that functional represented before.
So I had a question about, and I wasn't quite sure what you were getting at when you said they didn't back out the square footage on the basement. When they discovered you had a garage, is that?
So, and I can explain that also, when the basement garage is unfinished basement that has garage doors attached. That we add value for the garage doors for
That's
basically.
So you start at a base rate for unfinished basement and you add something for garage.
Correct. We're not valuing that area as finished garage in any of the garage.
But you don't back out
We don't back anything
the
out.
unfinished basement base rate. You leave that on there.
Correct. So it's part of the value
Gotcha.
coming up with the total value for
And
it.
then where is it showing the value for the pool?
The pool is an outbuilding and we are valuing the pool at 50%.
45,100.
Age. It's actually 33,000 800. 33. And that's basically, if it was a brand new pool, it would be 67,600.
It would be how much?
67,600,
Okay.
but we're assessing it at 50%. So we're reducing for the age of.
So it says here 45,100, that's before you multiply by the discount.
Where are you seeing it?
Outbuilding.
The outbuilding value.
5,100.
What's the total out?
Oh, that's all the outbuildings.
All the outbuildings, okay.
Yes.
So there's no separate number for the pool.
Yeah, there are actually 5 outbuildings, and so, yeah, we have all a separate value for all of them, so 33 for the pool. A storage building, several patios. Typically that's.
And then how do you define a walkout basement?
Well, walkout basement is where you can actually walk out of the basement with a door, not necessarily, with a garage door.
So is it a walkout basement or not?
So is this a walkout basement or is this a underground basement?
If you would get out through the basement or through the garage.
Through the garage doors.
So you've
Yeah.
got a basement, you've got garage doors.
The only way in
One
and
way or
out is the
exposed.
outside is the garage door.
Come through the garage door, go through the garage, go to the finished basement area.
Yes.
So the only access from outside is through the garage.
It's through the garage. I would not consider that a walkout basement.
Okay, so we may need to, are you considering it that walkout basement on this assessment?
Yes,
Okay, so that's one issue. What about, I see already there's significant discount for topography.
yes, there is.
What, you want more of a discount? Is that what you're?
I think it's more acreage.
So is it by time now?
Well, I'm just
No,
asking, we're semi-informal here.
All right.
We're not.
Well, I just want the acreage to be correct. I mean, I admit that that they've already given a discount. It took a while. If you look back at the property records, originally they gave me 5%. Right? Now it seems to be correct at 50% for the preserved slopes.
Well, they have 3.751 acres, is that correct?
That the total acreage is correct. What I'm requesting is for the primary building site, the 1 acre, it's about 1 acre, to be assessed at the residential rate. And for the residual, all the residual, so that's 2.751 acres, which I maintain is either preserved or managed slopes to be assessed at 50% on.
That's what we're doing. We have 1 acre as a home site, which we reduced by 10%. And we have the remaining
Yeah, that's
2.751 acres at 50%.
That's not correct. The assessment I received said 1.751 acres at the reduced rate of 2 acres at the unless you guys changed it after.
Home
after
sites,
our
2
requesting
acres or
review.
1?
One.
Home sites 2 or 1 acre.
Home site in Ednam Forest is 1.
We can bring the map up.
No, it's a question between rural area and subdivision.
Right. Yeah, rural area is 2 acres, but in Ednam Forest it's.
So.
But I just need to be clear about this. That's, I mean, Mr. Boyko is saying that that's what they did. That's not what they did. If you look at the 2026 property card, they have.
We're just trying to figure that out.
Sure, but let's.
Is it that the part of the lot that is not critical slope and so forth is not assessed at a reduced rate? What's the discrepancy here?
I'm not sure. This record shows that we have 1 acre for the home site.
Okay. And what value?
At 436,500. And that's reduced 10% for topography.
So a 1 acre home site.
So that should
for
be-
what?
436,500.
That should leave 2.751 acres.
Correct. And that 2.751 acres is reduced 50% and it's at 100,000, 1,200.
What is it before you
Sorry,
reduce? What is
Mr.
it
Wolford,
before
I'm
you
looking
reduce
at
it?
the 2026 property card that their office sent me. And it doesn't say that.
So did we change this after?
Did we look at it and?
Well,
But-
so the 2.175 acres before you reduce it is valued at what?
Okay, I think I know what the problem is. As we were looking at this, preparing for the hearing weeks ago. What Mr. Bennett is arguing actually would increase the value.
No, it wouldn't. If you.
Hold on a second, let me
Let him-
explain.
All right, well, all right.
So
Um,
the home site's gonna be. $430 some thousand. Cause that's the base for Edmund Forest.
You told me 436,500.
That's right, right.
Okay, and then you reduce that by 10%, so it's 392,85, 850.
No, that was
That was
reduced.
reduced.
That's after the reduced by 10%.
So that is a 10%.
That is a 10%
So
reduction.
the base for Edmund is really,
The base is 485.
that's what I was getting.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So,
sorry, if I could just ask 45 per,
Just let him,
Just for a 1 acre site.
well, this is my time for rebuttal, right?
well.
We're not gonna take
we're
it from you.
informal here. We're gonna give you plenty of time.
All right.
We just want to get everything straight. We don't, it's. We got plenty of
No,
time.
that's fine, but I just want to just remind you, I'm looking at my 2026 property card and it doesn't match.
And
what
he's
Mr.
explaining-
Bennett is saying.
Are you online or you got a copy?
No, I've got the copy that I requested. from-
yeah, we gave them a copy.
Nick, Jim Lane, just take a look at that.
Right, and it still says 2 acres, it still says 2 acres residential and 1.751 steep slope. So,
And what values does it put
and
on?
what I would like to get is 1 acre residential and 2.751 steep slope.
And that's what they say.
That's all right.
All right, well, as long as we're all in agreement, I can only respond to what I've given.
Yeah.
That's
That's accurate. We just gotta get to the value.
Something changed here. And I remember this is one of those things that we changed it to the 1 acre with the remainder. And
What do you value the remainder at per acre?
The residual is.
oh, because, okay, so like I said, the 1 acre home site. Even though we had it as 2 acres before, it's the same value. A home site
Yeah, right.
in Edmund Forest is the same value, is one value, adjusted for things like topo. By breaking out an additional acreage as extra land, we're adding an
Adding 2
additional extra acre of land to the value. So it actually would increase the value of higher than the assessment.
So
that
we
we
could,
currently
the
have.
2 acre at a base of 485 reduced by 10%. The 2 acre listing at 2 acres is just a mistake. from
Just a
data
mistake,
entry.
correct.
And so it took the 2 acres away from the 3.175 acres and therefore only left you 1.58, 1.
That is correct,
And now you're gonna end up with a residual of 2.175.
right.
But
And-
so the confusion here is, and that what he's gonna be upset about when I just say this,
Yeah,
is that
It's gonna go.
you had a 2 acre listing at 485. Now you're gonna have a 1 acre listing at 485.
correct.
You're gonna add an acre in.
What is everybody else's home site 1 acre listed at?
It's the same base,
485?
485, correct. It is the same base 485 and it's based on a 1 acre. And that's the error that we just found as I was reviewing this to prepare for this.
So, Mr.
So
Mulford.
we added an extra acre to the residual land, which added more value to the land.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, so is the county's position that 2 acres of buildable land in Edmund Forest is valued the same as 1 acre of buildable land?
No,
No.
that is not the position.
All right, then,
The position is we made an error on this and it was called 2 acres, but it was really 1 acre.
all right, so can somebody summarize what the value would actually be if the adjustments that I requested are made?
I'm not gonna say what all of the
Just on
Just the land,
just
just
on
the
the
land. I just want to get the land piece straight.
What's your
Alright,
base?
so that's the,
485.
485 for the base.
and this.
Residual was 72,750.
Correct.
Yeah, I can tell you what it is, just. It changes the land total to 536,600.
Can I just jump in for a second here? I think as a board, we need to sort of have this discussion ourselves, but it seems illogical for an acre of land to be unusable and for that to increase the value of the collective area of land.
My
So,
position-
so, you know, I don't think it makes sense I don't think it makes sense at all to make that type of adjustment. And I guess I'd like to understand, you know, like if I have two lots next to each other in Ednam, one that has 2 acres of flat land, one that has 1 acre of flat land, and they're both, you know, 3.7 acres in total. It seems to me that the one that only has 1 acre of flat land should somehow be valued less, not more.
No, I think there's confusion, Mr. Naughton. It's just the way we set up his record in this parcel. You're absolutely right. A 2 acre parcel would have more value than a 1 acre parcel. So you would have a 1 acre home site on both of those parcels at 485. And on the 2 acre parcel, you would then have a 1 acre residual area at 72,750. That's added to the home site. That would make it more valuable than the one next to it. That's with no adjustments for either of them.
Okay, so what you're saying is so the reason it's going up is because there was an error in indicating the value of 2 acres at 485.
There was an
Correct.
error in assigning 2 acres to this parcel instead of 1 acre.
Correct.
So it left the residual lower than in reality is relative to the rest of the neighborhood.
Mr. Bennett, you understand that?
Well, then in that case, I agree with the individual who's speaking remotely. There has to be some way to discount the value of the land to reflect its actual utility and its actual
Well, I
market
think
value.
being reduced by 50%.
Right,
So there's,
but it's being increased in acreage by.
yeah, no, if I can jump in for a second here. So what we're doing on the main lot is we're reducing topography by 10%. If in fact half of that 2 acre site is not usable because it's a steep slope, it seems like that 10% adjustment is a little too low. Yeah.
It's a 1 acre site. The home site's 1 acre.
Oh, sorry, I'm still back in, yeah. My apologies. That's right. I understand now. Okay.
What's the yellow box?
Yeah, what's the yellow?
That's yellow is the 3 different types of critical slope. The yellow is the lowest effect. I can't remember.
Managed.
They give the names in here, I think.
Managed
It's managed, correct.
versus protected.
Preserved is blue and the red, if there isn't any red on here, but that's the one you can't touch.
Okay.
So can you, by adjusting the land, making that correct, and adjusting the basement discrepancy, can we?
Yeah, absolutely. That I can
get a
answer.
number?
Yes, that would increase the total assessment to 1,942,100. I've changed the assessment to part underground instead of walkout. And that's with the land change.
What's the difference between,
And actually, that's still,
what's the difference per square foot between walkout and?
that I have to look up.
Underground is 11.55 and walkout is 14.85.
Is that per square foot, you're saying?
Yeah.
Mr. Bennett definitely looked at our model. Right up. I commend him for that.
Those are the instructions that you sent out.
Exactly. Not a lot of people.
But I'm still not following the argument about the land, because it sounds like here I've demonstrated that less land is usable and the assessed value of the land is going up.
Because there was a mistake.
And to be clear, it's not that it's not the usability
It's
is,
value to it.
is not. This is not a commercial site where you can like, I can or can't use this physically to make economic, make it economically valuable. There is value to land that is not buildable to each house. I mean, you don't want to be right up against your neighbor. You'd like to have woods, protection, buffers. So I mean,
Right, well,
it has value. You cannot say because it's not usable, it has no value. You can say it's not as usable as the rest. It has a reduced, it has a reduced value, not no value.
right, and I could come back and argue that we're already paying for that in terms of the minimum lot size requirements in Ednam and the Ednam multiplier, right? So in Ednam, you can't get a house that's on less than 1.5 acres, and we pay a 70% premium to live there.
Except all of your
So-
neighbors have paid theoretically to live there on their various lots, and then they
Right.
get discounts like you're getting 50%. You're saying nobody gets it? You're the
No,
only one?
No, what I'm saying is the proportion of steep slopes on our lot is greater as the county acknowledged. It's
Is
the
the
largest
50
lot in Ednam, and it's got,
Is the 50% because of the area that is covered in that? Do you have other lots that have 40% or 30% or 70%?
Like we said, his parcel is one of the larger ones, so it has a lot more effect than other parcels.
Well, I mean,
But-
what's the percentage?
It's the same, we do the same thing, the amount of percent wise of the critical slope in that area.
That covers, so if somebody had a 2 acre lot. And they had the same square footage of. Of critical slopes on their lot as he does, they would get a more than 50% reduction. Because a higher percentage of their lot is covered.
Yeah, and it's not gonna be exact,
More or less.
exact comparison, but yes.
And there could be people on here that. Have no critical slopes, I doubt it, because this is Albemarle County. And they wouldn't get 50%, they get something less.
Yeah, there are definitely some right here on the screen that don't have any critical slope.
I mean,
There's no
They would-
adjustment for
They
them.
would, correct.
Okay. What's the adjustment?
well, if that's the argument, then I'd like the acreage to be measured more precisely. Because if we're really talking about the primary home site, it's 0.8 acres. And like I said, you look at the topo map, that little irregular slice north of the house should be marked as steep slope. So, I mean, it needs to be assessed accurately. And I would just remind the board too, preserve steep slopes, you can't do anything with that. I can't build a treehouse. Right? I'm not allowed to do anything per the ordinance. I'm not allowed to do anything.
I'm a developer, I know what they did.
Correcting this issue with the land would increase the value. I wouldn't ask you to increase the value just to affirm the assessment.
You're not asking us to do that?
It's fair to say you'll just have to correct this next year.
Yeah, we have the record correct. As he indicated, after 5 visits to the property, I think we finally have this record correct.
If you wanted to argue about the acreage you just talked about, how would that be? Do you survey?
About how
You would have
much-
to get a survey of it.
How much acreage is,
Is actual home?
I'm really not
It
sure.
has to
What
be-
is your
it has to be
argument?
1 acre no matter what, right?
What acreage specifically do you think you should get like survey better?
Well, if you're asking us to get, there's 2 questions there. One is the area of the home site versus the area of steep slope. And then the other areas, or the other question is getting the inclusion of more of the property as steep slopes and getting it discounted by 50%. But so I guess you're asking, we'd have to get a topo survey in that ravine and prove to somebody that that was actually a steep slope. But if it's not going to lower the assessment because of the strange way, in my opinion, that this is being valued, then I'm not going to do it, right? Because I'm not going to do that and then have the value go up.
So what would the difference be if we just adjusted for the basement?
But can I ask, so we're just talking, we've only talked about the basement and land. Is that because the board doesn't want to consider any of the other reductions I mentioned, or?
I'm not persuaded by the roof. I'm not persuaded by the pool. Not persuaded by the siding argument.
All right, well then, can
The
I
basement, yes. The quality.
We're not really.
Temporary. You mean you're looking at the grade? Yeah.
Yeah, we're not really equipped to make that
No.
determination.
No.
All right, well, I'll just make, I'd like to at least have an opportunity to speak a little bit more about the grading and the functional obsolescence. I mean, if you go back and look at the property cards, there's no coherent story about the grading. The grading was graded as A prior to some improvements. And even though the notes say that for the previous owner that the bathrooms were dated, they kept the grading as A. Like I said, we made improvements, they lowered the grading, right, which tells me that the grading was too high to begin with. And I would maintain too that the property, you know, the house built in 1983 is not going to be as easy to remodel, and it's not going to be as functionally useful as a house built today for a number of reasons. I mean, you've got outlets that aren't up to code. There's, you know, there's HVAC that's not up to code. There's numerous elements like that per the grade guide need to be reflected, and they, in my opinion, they're not being reflected in the assessment. So, I mean, I'd like to account for that somehow. If you're not going to lower the grading, I would again ask the board to at least consider that some functional obsolescence is present in the property. And there's numerous photos to show that.
12,100.
Well, did you understand the explanation concerning the functional obsolescence, why that changed?
Oh, yeah, I understood it. I understood it based on the contemporary.
That they've lowered
Contemporary. But yeah.
the factor of.
Yeah, but my arguments don't have to do with the contemporary design versus traditional. They have to do with the, like I said.
Well, then they're also discounting it by 18% for age and condition.
But they would do that anyway based on the year of construction. And the depreciation tables, I think you guys know, are pretty flat, right? So
The aging condition adjustment, that's not just a year thing, right?
Year and condition.
That's right.
The
It's
combination.
not just an age of it's not just the date of construction. It's date of construction and the condition of it. And yes, if you take better care of your property, you get to pay more taxes.
and if we haven't renovated yet, then we shouldn't. That's my point.
But you said you did upgrades.
Certain ones, but I mean, if you look at the
ones?
photos, it's not complete.
One,
Yeah, so we spent about 150,000 to put in a kitchen island and renovate the upstairs bathrooms. And put in some new energy efficient windows. We still have about half the windows that need replacing. We still have to update the ductwork. There's a lot of ductwork that's not code. It's really inefficient. We still have to update the electrical. We have a panel in there that one of the panels is, I think, original. We still have to, excuse me, take care of the exterior, like I mentioned. And I would continue to point out that there's no reason that the roof and the siding should be graded the way they are. There are zero multipliers that, in my view, perfectly apply to this house, and there's no reason why it should be overvalued. Now, if we put a nicer roof on it, sure, I would be willing to pay for that, but you know, it's.
So I have a question on the assessment history. It has 2026, 1,903,700. But on the owner provided comps and on the. And then also assessor provided comp is 1,917.
I'm sorry, start that over again.
Here on
Which
assessment history for 2026, the first page,
Okay.
1,903,700.
Okay.
Assessor provided comps, 1,917,800.
Yes.
Which one's right?
1,917,000. Was a change we made, on an admin review prior to the board. So it was, this page was not updated to include the correct.
Does the,
It's 1,917,800 is the assessment.
917,800, can you give me a number if we adjust for the basement? You gave me the discount, but
Right, so it would drop to 1,905,700.
905,
There's another problem with this. You know, we have this in average condition. The applicant just stated he spent $150,000 renovating the kitchens and bathrooms. That's not average condition, that's average plus or good. It's actually would be worth more than the current assessment based on that.
But that's not new information. You visited the property
I
twice
did visit the property.
after that
Yeah.
happened. Okay, so that's not, I'm not providing, I mean, by definition, once you've come and looked at the property once after that's happened, that's it. You did your assessment.
Yeah, I'm sorry, you're not correct, but Louis, can you speak to the condition, please?
When I was there, and I went there this year and last year, I did a full walkthrough of the property. When I did the walkthrough, to me, the house was in average condition. It does have a nicer kitchen. I don't know that I knew when that was done or how old that kitchen renovation was done. It does have a nicer kitchen. It does have, trying to find pictures of the bathrooms here, just to refresh my own memory.
Right, so while he's doing that, can I ask the board, is this correct that they get to change their assessment retrospectively?
There have been times when this board has increased assessment values after information we presented.
No, that's not what I'm asking. So the county's presented their assessment and now they want to change it based on knowledge that they already had.
It's our option.
Right, okay, that's cool.
It's your option.
All right, I'm just making sure what the rules are.
The house wasn't totally pristine. It does have some areas of deferred maintenance, you know. It needs some paint on the windows and some stuff outside. I mean, it's not, to me, the house was an average condition for its age, even with the kitchen renovations. To me, it's still,
So you stand by average.
yeah, I would
Minus
call it.
one.
It is not a house that was just built in 1983 and 1983 kitchen, 1983
updated.
bathrooms. Average plus is that,
Well,
is what that is.
it's also not a house that was built in 2026 and exceeds code, which is what grade A is supposed to be, brand new, no depreciation.
That is
Yeah.
also not.
That's
Yeah,
what it says.
go ahead.
Thank you. Can you just, Mr. Lynch, can you just talk a little bit about why the assessed value went up so much from 2025 to 2026? Is that because of the renovations, or is that there's something else going on in the model?
No, we actually weren't given any credit for the renovation. It's what's going on in the model for that neighborhood. For the
Okay.
change
Okay, well,
due to the sales in the neighborhood.
right, so in that case, can we look at 440 Rookwood then? Because that goes to my point. 440 Rookwood's in much better shape than our house, and that's the only A-1 property that they provided as a comp. And they even said they said it was the best comp to our house and it was superior to our house.
So I don't want to sort of derail things, but you've had an opportunity to present, and we're trying to, as a board, try to figure out what to do here. So if we have questions for you, we'll ask you. But if you could just give us a little bit of time to talk amongst ourselves to figure out what to do, I think we'll get to a resolution a little bit quicker.
That's fine.
So I just want to confirm, so we're comfortable with the grade and we're comfortable with the condition. We've talked about the updating the basement from being a walkout. And we've talked about the land, and making the requested changes is sort of adverse to the homeowner. So just to my board members, what else is out there in terms of things that we need to to figure out with this
I don't
property.
think anything.
Great. I think your summary is on track.
I'll make a motion to lower the assessment to $1,905,700 that reflects the difference in the classification of the basement access.
I second.
We have a motion and a second on application number 62-433 Edmund Drive to change the assessment, lower it to $1,905,700. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion passes. Thank you.
All right, well, thanks for the $100 back. Appreciate it.
Are you the Hendersons?
Yes.
Come on up.
When you're done, I have 5 minutes with you to discuss it private matters.
Double check my math on the last one. Land stayed the same. I've got improvements in 1,405,500.
Oh. 1,905,700.
It's,
Sure, that's what
I think I missed. What's the total?
1,905,700.
I got that part.
And the land was,
They're not changing.
Land stayed.
so it's 104, make that a 700. And I think you got it. No, that's 200 there. Then you're right.
4,500,700, 500.
Yeah, you're right.
200. 1,405,500.
Yeah, you're right.
All right, this
Based
is
on what I can do third grade math.
calculator, right?
That's right.
This is application
Without a
number
calculator, we'd all be in trouble.
5130 Mary Jackson Court, Mr. and Mrs. Henderson. Everybody who's going to testify, we need to swear you in. You swear that the information you're about to give is the truth. Okay, thank you. Okay, so you'll have 10 minutes to present your case, and then the assessor's office will have 7 minutes, and then you'll have 10-minute rebuttal, but we're kind of informal, so we'll take as much time as we need. Let's go ahead.
I'd just like to say something preliminarily. That I'm in an awkward position here. Because as a matter of fairness, I have to acknowledge that your appraiser's methodology was clearly painstaking, and I appreciate that. And if we are challenging it to some degree, it's not because we don't recognize how much effort went into an analysis. But we do think that, well, actually, we know that, and I think you likely know that any valuation process can't be an exact science, that there are imponderables that go into it. And to the extent that there are figures that leap out to us that aren't cited in the appraisal. And certain facts that weren't made clear in the appraisal. We thought it would, or hoped it would be helpful to us to add our perspective to the very granular analysis that was presented. one of the numbers that strikes me as on its face questionable is that our purchase price, which was $837,000 in 2024, we know it to have been not the result of hard bargaining. Indeed, we just accepted great builders, the developers figure, and took it from them. Nor did we have any special reason to need to move then and there that might have prompted a higher price or from us. Or can we identify any reason that Craig's would have succumbed to an overly low purchase price offered by us? So we do take $837,000 as an arm's length transaction that was truly arm's length and that fairly reflected the then fair market value. Give me, I'm also in an unenviable position. This happens to be, 3 o'clock happens to be my usual nap time. I should be ashamed to tell you that. But if I is up or otherwise am unclear, please bear with me. And I apologize to my husband for divulging something embarrassing. Just to say, from research, we see that in the Avon Park area, in 2025, there was a 3% to 5% appreciation in residential real. And I note that because we had the honor of having our fair market value, I should say our purchase price initially assessed at 5.6% of our purchase price the year before, and then a whopping 18.6% further increase for 2025, despite again, Avon Park areas 3 to 5%. That strikes me as questionable in itself. A major point of difference with the appraisal is that it grades our property as A-, despite the fact that our builder is recognized by True as a grade B builder, despite the fact that features cited in the appraisal as making it special above and beyond B+, I guess, were the features, clear story windows, transom windows, a cathedral ceiling, all of which were standard features in the basic plan offered by our grade B builder. Also, porches are cited in the assessment, and that term, especially in the plural, the bluestone rounding, the bluestone used in what is referred to as porches. The bluestone is a grounding for a porch that is all of 5 feet wide and 10 feet long. It couldn't be smaller, and indeed is smaller than many and perhaps most of the very, very similar properties in our development. So it's a bit grandiose to refer to this fort as the basis for upping the grade to, as one of the bases for upping the grade to A minus. Well, let us know that we have the disadvantage of not having been able to cite something that may or may not strike you as compelling, but it does seem to be somewhat material to us that our next door neighbor, whose property is of a plan that is the other builder in Galaxy Farm, the other builder has as one of his 4 plans our neighbor's plan, which is the version of our plan that Craig Builders offers. Our neighbors, encouraged by the some high prices achieved on sale of some of the properties in 2025. Encouraged by that, still apparently wanted to be modest in their approach, and asked for $995,000, their asking price. They recently put the property on sale and already have been obliged to lower the asking price by $45,000. Their example suggests to us, I think it's not immaterial, although they haven't achieved a sale price yet.
Let me just stop it for a minute. We can't consider anything that didn't happen in 2025.
It did not happen in 2025.
If it happened in 2025, we don't.
No.
No, that's why he's saying in 2026. It's just that if in 2000, it seems to me there's a trajectory here. It is an up trajectory, and you could take little notice of the fact that in 2026 there is some likelihood that a higher price would have been achieved. And if in 2025, the question is, if they can't sell it for $945,000, and it's very much akin to ours, and indeed, if we look at both properties, and I'm not asking you to take this off, just noting that their house is so beautifully appointed and has a screened-in sunroom porch that is a lovely thing that we don't have. They also have no basement. They have a primary bedroom on the first floor. And again, they haven't been able to sell at a later date. They haven't sell at night. Anyway, I think I've said my piece.
Okay.
Before falling.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Oh,
And we'll have some questions after the assessor give us their side.
Ask you a question real quick. What house are you talking? Next door to yours?
exactly. It's 5124 Mary Jackson Court.
Who was that builder? You said it was a different menu.
It is the different builder, but numbers of the comparables also, both ours and the assessors.
Who was the builder?
The builder is Greenwood. Sorry, Green.
They're not attached.
Sorry.
None of these houses are attached, right?
How much is
It's
They're
how
really
much
close.
is this
I'm looking at Google Maps.
on sale for? The one on the screen.
listed on one.
Oh, we have it assessed for 8.7.
I know, what's it listed for?
You can look that up. Okay.
Thank you. Okay, so we, I just wanted to comment about a few of the comments that the applicant made. We do list in our grade guide that you guys have a copy of typical builders for each grade.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean they only build that grade. It's, grade definitely built
Yeah, some of your
lower
pictures,
A's and.
some of your pictures of A are Craig builders.
Okay, yes, yes. So it's not, they're not restricted to that grade. That's just, we found that somewhat, at one point at least, they typically run that grade.
I would suggest next year, maybe take the builder names off. Cause it's confusing.
Okay. Well, we'll have to talk about that.
If you think about it.
Okay, so, and this, we can, you cannot use this, but I wanted to make this, a kind of an example of this because people tend to, look at listings for homes and say, well, that didn't sell, or they had to lower it. But the house next door is listed for, what was number 950,000? We have it assessed for 874. So we don't expect it to sell for 950,000 anyway. But I believe it also is a lower grade. So let's talk about grade. A-1 is the grade on this house. As they said, that's what Craig, that was the price. And unless it's really unusual times, so like the builders are trying to move product, they're not going to come off their prices. So whatever you choose to put in your house, and in this case, what we've seen is that what they chose to put in their house was A-1 grade, equivalent quality. So, so the sale price reflected what that house actually had in it. And it was, that was a year prior, and we had a reassessment since, and the sales that we have in the neighborhood indicated that the value should go higher. We've used comparable number 1 on our list, which is the same grade, same 1.5 story. So it's very similar. Sold for $1,029,770 in 2025. And and it's assessed rate, within $1,300 of the subject. We believe that is a really good comparable. Of course, all the comparables that we provide and the owner provides are all good comparables because based on their descriptions, they are assessed at an appropriate number. So the ratios are all good, which is basically, these are all the sales from the neighborhood, or most of the sales from the neighborhood that show that the model was working for these homes. So when a property has, higher grade, it'll sell for more. When it's lower grade, it'll sell for less. So I think, is there anything you want to add about grade or anything on property?
I don't think so, but it's what.
Rachel can answer any questions you might have specifically about her inspection.
So didn't we already look at a similar situation where we had all of the 2-story Craig homes were rated B+1 and all the 1.5s were graded as A-1? And that was sort of, you did an equalization, and that was sort of used uniformly throughout a neighborhood?
I know we had this conversation. I don't remember that it was tied to 2-story versus 1.5 story.
That was my issue.
Okay.
If you remember, I talked about how 2-story necessarily can't have vaulted ceilings. So you can't, but then this is where this book is helpful.
Yes.
And what we wanted to make sure everybody is being graded in the same manner. I would be curious. There's a lot of B+1s, which is just 1 grade down from an A-. Just what specifically made you say A-1?
Yes, that was my question. What is the difference?
So I inspected this property and I also just want to put on record that the Hendersons were also a little bit louder. The Hendersons were very gracious and generous in allowing me to see inside their property and see everything that I needed to. So I really appreciated them in that process. The items that I noted, this is the Chesapeake model. This model features differing things than the other models from what I currently know of.
Any other Chesapeake models that you've seen or?
No, the neighborhood is comprised primarily of Greenwood and Craig built homes in the Galaxy Farm section. There are multiple models that Craig produces within that division. The Chesapeake, to my knowledge, is one of the ones that has that cathedral volume ceiling. I believe I measured that at 16 feet high. It has additional clerestory windows. It does have that stone work on the porch. I believe it's be bluestone. They do have transom windows. This property did feature tray ceilings. From my knowledge, I don't believe some of the other models feature all of those items. So that was,
And those are all on the list of features included in A-1.
yes, I believe some of them are featured on 8-1. Some of the features I believe overlapped between the two grades, so I can only pick one grade.
And also, support for the grade can be found in the sale price, and in the year that they purchased the property, they paid $836,969. We assessed it at $883 with that grade. So, you know, it worked in the year it sold, and then for another year later when we have appreciation in the market, and you know, so we feel that we didn't change the grade since last year. It's the same grade we had on it.
Any other questions for the assessor? You have time to.
Before and I don't need to boring at all. Craig, each of the two builders that sold homes in Galaxy One offer 4 models apiece. Ours, the Chesapeake, is again, it's the base model, and then we were given an opportunity to upgrade. Our upgrades were very modest. Indeed, we shrunk from even putting in ground mode. We were budget conscious. And so the notion that our features are exceptional for the base model, the Chesapeake base model, strikes me as not supportable. The cathedral ceiling, amongst other things, represented to us, it was aesthetically pleasing. It did that had an effect on our being interesting. But this is a very modest sized house. It has no basement. It has no extra non-living space. It's got 3 the basic middle class features of 3 bedrooms, 2.5 baths. The dimensions are modest. So losing usable space, which is a fact when you have a cathedral ceiling, wouldn't have struck me as a reason for buying the property or for accepting a higher sales price that we would have to pay. The clear story, and I think there may be one transom. I believe there is a transom window over the office. But these houses, and there are 60 some odd, I think there are 65 between the two buildings. There are 65 one family, separate houses, detached houses in our development. And it's a very social community, and we've been to lots of the houses. And the standard cabinetry, the materials, the workmanship, are from our view as people who have been looking at lots of houses in the 800,000 or high 700s and low 800,000. This was in 24. There was nothing special to our eye. That doesn't necessarily have to move you, but I am telling you honestly that it surprised me. It didn't delight me that we were being appraised at figures that I thought were not entirely warranted. And again, the assessment in for 25 accepted our purchase price as a base for valuation. Raised that value, the purchase price, by 5.6%, but then proposes that in 2025, our property went up in value by 18.6%. That's a whopping rate, even though I'm appreciative of the fact that the market, I've kept up with research. And this is a notably unaligned with increases in value. I can't speak to the other comparables. What kind of person of idiosyncratic factors went into there. But I know this was not a hard negotiation, and it was informed by our own familiarity with other offerings. So thank you for the opportunity to give.
Thank you.
I have one piece of information. I just grabbed it. 5012 Mary Jackson Court was another property that we met and discussed. Also a Chesapeake model.
Are you saying that's something we discussed last week?
No, well, it wasn't last week. It was April 22nd. So long
At
ago,
a
it's hard
prior
to remember. At a prior meeting 2 months ago, it was 5012 Mary Jackson Court, also at Chesapeake, and we did make an adjustment there for the building.
From what to what?
From 104,700, which is virtually identical to the property we're looking at, has a 104.8. We dropped it all the way to 968,000.
But what was the adjustment because of the grading?
Yeah, that's what I was trying to ask.
Yeah, so it's I pulled up our minutes and it's not, it just says reduced building. But I suspect it was the grade. Yeah.
It's the one that prompted a lot of discussion, and
Correct.
My biggest issue was, and I'll just restate it, I think, that when you have a story and a half, you by default have vaulted ceilings, typically have some type of great room that has large windows in it. And that additional value, I think, should already be taken into account in the fact that it's a story and a half. The market pays. I feel like the grading standards should be more about finishes and appliances and flooring than whether there's a vaulted ceiling or not. And I mean, this is I saw this like neighborhood. I'm sitting here going, oh yeah, that's the guy that lived behind the stormwater basin. I remember the conversation. Thank you for going and getting the notes. I'm of the same mind as the first one. I think the grading on this does need to be adjusted to conform with what I think the rest of the neighborhoods are. I understand the 2-story units. I mean, the 2 stories, there is already a base difference between 2-story and story. Just because of its layout. Forget
So
what's
you're
in
saying
it. Empty
being
box.
compound.
I'm saying, yes, I'm saying it's being compounded in this particular case. And I think from a consistency standpoint, I am inclined to adjust their grade accordingly, just like we did. Is the address again?
So
5050.
Yeah, 5012 Mary Jackson Court.
Right.
If this was adjusted to B+1, what would the assessment be? Peter,
Oh, I'm sorry.
if this were adjusted to B+1, what would the assessment be?
While he's doing that, I have a question for you about what are the 4 models that Craig builds? The Chesapeake, story and a half.
In that neighborhood, there's Chesapeake, there's the Stockton farmhouse, I think there's.
So Stockton's 2-story.
2-story,
Okay.
and then you also have the Beecham Heritage, which I also believe is a 2-story.
Okay, that's 3.
And I'm not aware of a 4th one.
there is, I don't remember what the name.
Okay. But it is the Chesapeake the only story and a half?
Yes, I believe so.
Okay. And they do bring more value per square foot than a 2-story house. It costs more to build and most people would rather have them, which is what the market reflects that. That's why they have that here. So we're really talking about a grading issue. And
But if we,
the finishes inside of the 2-story buildings that Craig builds are typically all the same. I mean, you can make choices. You have all hardwood floors,
We don't, we have liquid
LVT.
luxury plywood.
Yeah,
Vinyl.
everybody's doing that now instead of hardwood. So, but it's not carpet, I guess is my point.
Carpeted upstairs,
You
the
do have
carpet is not a high grade, it was the lowest grade, standard grade.
Yeah.
And our appliances, by the way, we've been in other Chesapeake homes in the development. When you mention the word finishes, well, it's certainly no different.
Yeah,
All right, we.
yeah, I think we're
Okay.
kind of on board with you. I
Okay.
am.
Mr.
I'm on board.
As a B+, it would be 890,400,
say again,
890,400. But if I remember correctly on the property that Mr. Naughton brought up, you didn't change it to a B+. You actually had it halfway in between an A- and a B+. And halfway in between is 969,000, which is very similar to the value.
that's,
Say that number again.
969,400.
Sure.
yeah,
Any more discussion? I'll make the motion.
I was just gonna say, my notes say on that 5012.
Oh, I can tell you what is it, you mean where it ended up?
Yeah,
It ended up at 968.
yeah,
I mean, right,
Right, 968, right.
okay. Love consistency.
In this
So
house,
what's-
so do I.
so what's the motion?
Okay, I make the motion that can you give me the improvement numbers, just so I can say all 3 numbers at once?
Yes, hold on just a second and I'll get that. 69. So. Improvement 781,300.
Okay, land's the same.
Yes, at 188.1.
Okay, so
Total?
969,400. So I'd like to make a motion that we reduce the overall assessment for application 24, address 5130 Mary Jackson Court. We hold the land at 188,100. The improvements get adjusted to $781,300 for a total of $969,400.
We have a second?
I second, yeah.
All right, we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
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 All right, motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you very much, and I would have said that even if it hadn't gone the way it did.
I'm sure you would.
We appreciate that. It's not usual.
Usually silent.
All right, are there any other matters to come before the board today? Other than our next meeting is Monday at 1 o'clock,
That
right?
is correct.
Anything else?
Actually, our next meeting is 1:30.
Was not till 1:30?
That's
1:30 on Monday?
schedule ahead.
Thank you, ladies.
Have a nice balance of the day.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
30.
This Monday?
1:30.
1:30 on Monday, we all agreed with that?
I'm gonna check that. And,
1:30.
Okay.
Okay.
We have.
Have the motion to adjourn?
I'd say we adjourn.
So moved.
All right, we have a motion to adjourn and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you. And Billy and Peter, thank you so much for the tech help. I appreciate it.
Absolutely, thank you.
All right, we'll see you guys.
All right.
Thanks,
bye-bye.
James. Can you stop the recording?
Yeah,